तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं। हे राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome for our Saturday evening program. Today we will discuss on dangers of illicit sex. Generally, most of the people, especially in the youth, they are not aware of the consequences of what they do. Just like there is one saying you may see on the hats or on t-shirts, just do it. So just do it means you need not worry what is the consequence. You can just indulge into any activity which gives pleasure to you. But often what happens, we suffer for that, especially indulgence in sexual activity at the young age of puberty, so makes the life of many people miserable. So they have so many problems in the future. So we will discuss in this topic what are the dangers. So basically we will discuss 5 things. So how, first thing is how sex is very abominable, and after that we'll discuss definition of illicit sex, because we are talking about illicit sex. And then we should accept one of the ashramas, either remain celibate, brahmachari or grihastha. That point we'll discuss. And after that we will discuss how actually this is suffering. Sex indulgence in different ways it is suffering. And finally we'll discuss a topic, basically a story from Srimad Bhagavatam, which takes an example of one Brahmana who fell down into illicit sex and suffered for that. So we will start. Basically, dharma is to regulate our activities in different ways, and cleanliness is one pillar of dharma. So this pillar is broken when we engage into sex. So sex is basically unclean activity. So you all may wonder. Of course you all should not wonder, because it's obvious. It is a union of 2 urine producing parts. It is very dirty. There is nothing pleasurable. The great devotee boy Prahlad Maharaj, he defined sex life as very abominable. Yan maitunadi grahamedi sukam hi tucham. Tucham means in Sanskrit it is very abominable. So there is nothing great in that. So the dogs on the streets are also doing that. It's not that only human beings are doing. So after all, it's the same pleasure. There is nothing special in it. And illicit sex. What is illicit sex? So basically sex is not required because it is a bodily function. It is a bodily need. And we are spirit souls, as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. Dehi nosmin yata dehe. So Krishna is explaining that we are not this body, but we are situated in the body. Just like a car is there, and a driver who is within it is making the car move. So similarly the body is functioning, it's moving because there is soul within. So we are spirit souls, and we don't have anything to do with the external body. So this sex pleasure is a necessity of the body. So we don't require it. But still many of us may be on the bodily platform. Not maybe, we are on the bodily platform. And certain bodily needs are allowed in the Shastras according to dharma. So now if we see, even animal has a bodily need. So there are basically 4 bodily needs. So eating, sleeping, sex life, and defending. So first of the 3 are you all are obvious, you all know. Eating, we need to maintain our body. Sleeping also, we need to maintain the body. Even sex life is a function of body. Defending means it is just like body needs to be protected, because otherwise it is subject to destruction. For instance, there are so many diseases. At present time there is corona, and we have to protect our body from corona virus. So defending is required. So out of this 4, we can give up sexual life. It is, we can see many sages in India especially, they have given up, and even up to this date, people, they give up this sexual activity from the very beginning. Many people, they are inclined towards spiritual life, or at least they are sadhus. So they have good samskaras from previous life, so naturally they have this desire and they are successful also. So it can be given up, but still Shastra allows certain amount of sex life for those people who can't give it all together. So if we see in the Varnashrama Dharma, which is divided into, the life of an individual is divided into 4 parts of 25 years. Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. So first 25 years, student, he goes to Gurukula, he studies Shastra, and he remains away from association of the opposite sex. And after that, he goes into married life. And that too, if he can't control senses, if he is not able to continue in Brahmacharya ashram, then he takes permission of Guru and goes into Grihastha ashrama. And there for 25 years, he stays there. And after that, he gives up that. He takes Vanaprastha, he retires. So generally now retirement is there, but that is retirement from office. But actually they used to retire from sex life. And then finally sannyas. So in these 4 parts, sex life is allowed only in Grihastha life. So Grihastha means one has to marry. So ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha samanyam etat pashubi naranam. Dharmo hi tesham adhiko vishesham dharmena hina pashubhi samana. So dharma is that which regulates these 4 activities. So it helps us to animals, there is nothing called dharma for them. So sex life is regulated through marriage ceremony. So vivaha samskara. So vivaha samskara means we see in human society up to this state they marry, they don't enjoy sex like animals. Of course now they are doing, but still marriage ceremony is there. But animals don't have this. We don't see animals exchanging garlands with themselves because they have sex with anyone, they don't have any restriction. So this marriage is a samskara which regulates our sex desire. So one can be satisfied with one wife and beget children. So sex activity is allowed only for the sake of begetting children. So Krishna tells, I am sex life which is not against religious principles. Dharmo virodha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. So that means sex is not altogether forbidden in Shastras. It is allowed, but as a license. So license, it is not for everyone, and in household life it is allowed. So nowadays we have seen few years back, Supreme Court has passed the bill saying that and human beings, girls and boys especially, they can stay together, live in relationship. So this is animalistic. So we can see how the leaders of the society also, who are supposed to guide the society properly by making proper laws, are into illusion. They don't know proper knowledge. So they are making such laws. So they are like big animals. So they don't know dharma, and they also want that, and they are allowing these things. So basically these rules like this, they make humans into animals. So basically this illicit sex makes us animalistic. It's a bestial life. So we get degraded to animals. So Shastra, it allows in Grihastha Ashrama. So one has two options. One can either remain as a brahmachari whole life, or those who can't control. Basically, many people in Vedic culture, they know the troubles of accepting married life. Means they have to maintain wife, they have to maintain children, which is not easy. So lot of effort is required, lot of work. One has to work hard to bring up children. So especially at the present time, their education, food, etc., especially education, lot of money is required. So people who are intelligent and who are strong enough, who are determined, they opt to take the brahmacharya path throughout their life. Basically, it's not a life of excuse, but they utilize this time to advance in spiritual life and tell this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to others. So there also there is a responsibility. One can't become irresponsible. One has to either take the responsibility of telling this knowledge to others, or one has to take the responsibility of Grihastha Ashram, and within that he has to produce Krishna conscious children. So one has to take one responsibility. But at the present moment, what happens? People, they don't want to be austere, they don't want to control their senses, nor do they want to enter married life. They want to remain bachelor, and within that they want to engage into illicit sex. So illicit sex basically means sex outside marriage. Also, within marriage also there are regulations. So outside marriage means it includes everything like heterosex outside marriage, or homosexual outside marriage, or masturbation also. So that also comes within illicit sex. So anything with outside marriage through which we want to take this pleasure of sex is illicit sex. So basically Lord, when he created this world, he gave certain pleasure in this activity, because he knew if there is no pleasure, no one will take the responsibility of increasing the progeny, population. So intelligently, what did Lord do? He gave a coating on the genital organs through which some kind of pleasure is experienced when this activity human being does. So just for that momentary pleasure, for a slight fraction of time, so one has to take care of the family whole life. So this is a temptation for the living entity to get married, to maintain a household life. So but nowadays people, they don't want to follow this. They just want, just like it's a saying, if milk is available in the market, why to purchase it? Sorry, why to keep a cow? So this is the thought. So the point is, we have to either remain a celibate or get married, and in a regulated way do our household duties, and after that at Vanaprastha also one has to give it up. So sex life is never encouraged throughout life. So there is restriction. So now we'll discuss how it is suffering. So generally everyone at the present moment, everyone is saturated with the thought of enjoying enjoying opposite sex. Girl, if it's a man wants to enjoy woman, it's woman, she wants to enjoy man. But there is no happiness. Shastras say any activity, any sense pleasure, it is a cause of suffering. Like Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, he tells, dukkha yonaya evate. Dukkha yona means it is mother of suffering. So yahi samsparsha jab hoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavanta kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha. So first line of this verse explains what is sense pleasure. Sense pleasure means the pleasure which we get through our senses. We have 5 senses. When each sense comes in contact with its object, For instance, eyes comes in contact with beautiful object, it gets pleasure. Chikmagalur is a place of very scenery beauty. Many people come here. Of course, now because of corona, many of them are not allowed. So this is a sense pleasure for the eyes. And then for the ears want to listen beautiful music. So this is sense object for the ears. And for the sense of touch, the sense object is touching opposite sex, the body of that or whatever. So this sex pleasure actually. Yahi samsparsha. Sparsha means what? Touch. So when sense and its object come together, one kind of pleasure is being experienced. That pleasure is sense pleasure, and this sex pleasure is the highest pleasure within that. So this is highest pleasure, and yahi samsparsha jab hoga dukkha yonaya evate. It gives rise to suffering. And then Krishna tells adyantavanta kaunteya. It has a beginning and it has end. So anything related to the body, because body itself is not eternal, so any pleasure connected to the body is not eternal. And then nahi nateshu ramate buddha. An intelligent pleasant person doesn't dwell in this or doesn't take pleasure in these activities. So dukkha yonaya evate. How it is pleasurable, we may wonder actually. But then it is just like a pleasure in the mode of passion. So Krishna tells again in 18th chapter 38th verse, Visha indriya samyogat yattad agre mritopamam pariname visham iva tad sukam rajasam smritam. So you all can see the last line of this verse. It tells tad sukam rajasam smritam. This pleasure is in the mode of passion. What pleasure? The pleasure of Visha Indriya Samyogat. When this Vishaya means sense object and Indriya senses, when they come together. Yattad agre mritopamam. What appears to be Amrita, nectar. So everyone knows in the association of one woman, one experiences heavenly happiness. But it is not actually, it is illusory. It is just external bodily happiness. And the result is pariname vishamiva. The result is poison. Just like before marriage they may come together, man and woman, or before union, and they are very happy to talk with each other, they want to touch each other, they want to experience this bliss. But then when they indulge, what happens after that? They don't like. So often such relationships which are based on enjoyment end up with frustration, divorce, or they change partners. If they say it is love, then why they have to change partners? Love means it's unconditional. So they are changing partners, that means it's lust. It is just that I scratch your back, you scratch my back. So whatever gives pleasure to me, so to that extent I will love you. But if you don't give me pleasure, I am ready to kill you also. We often see that when the partner, sexual partner goes with some other boy, then the boy may be ready to kill the next husband or the next man with whom that girl wants to enjoy. So this is not lust. Sorry, this is not love, this is lust. So Krishna tells it as kama. So kama esha krodha esha raja guna samudbhava. So Krishna tells it is born out of passion, and the result is it degrades into anger. So it is not love, it is illusory. All that is said on love on the name of love in this world, it's all lust. So we can see how it is suffering. So Prabhupada, we see in America when Prabhupada preached, many of the hippies, Americans, young Americans, they came on the streets chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, wearing such robes. So then many of the majority people in America, what did they say? These people are wearing bed sheets. These saffron robes they called as bed sheets, and they are going on the street. What is this? These people are crazy. Then Prabhupada wrote an article, who is crazy? In that article, he gave an example of a camel. Camel, as you all know, is an animal of desert, and in desert there is a particular tree with lot of thorns. And the camel, what does it do? it feeds on it and it chews it, and as it chews, the thorns prick its tongue, and that causes lot of blood to come out, ooze out, and that the camel very nicely chews. So I am remembering once when I was in Rajasthan, we were on a car, we were moving, and I saw many camels, and all the time I saw they were chewing always. Their mouth was not, although they were walking, carrying loads, their mouth was like they were chewing something. So animals generally eat, and this camel, it chews nicely, and that blood mixed with that thorns, it very nicely it enjoys. So similarly, sexual activity, when we undergo that activity, we lose some kind of fluid, which is one of the most important dhatu. So semen. So as we know, when we eat food is converted into some substance which is known as dhatu, which gives life to the body and to the intellect, to the mind. So there are 7 dhatus. So first, when we eat food, it is converted into chyle, then into blood, then into flesh, then fat, then bone, then marrow, then finally into semen. There are Sanskrit terms also. Somehow I didn't do my homework. So that like majja is there for bone, I feel, and rakta is there, and virya is there for semen. So like that, many Sanskrit equivalents are there, and very nicely it's explained. When we eat food, it is converted into chyle, then into blood. So the 1 drop of blood 40 drops of blood, according to modern science, is converted into 1 drop of semen. Ayurveda says 80 drops of blood is equivalent to 1 drop of semen. So this semen, which is so filled with all the nutrients which can nourish the body, according to Ayurveda, impossible for any Ayurvedic tonic to do, is lost in this sexual activity. So you all can imagine so much loss. So generally people at young age, they may indulge into masturbation also. So that is also illicit sex, and that makes us very weak. So Prabhupada explains, the more one enjoys illicit sex at young age, the more one suffers in the old age. It's obvious, because he is losing the vital drop in the form of semen. So he has to suffer. He will get lot of diseases. So maybe if he is exposed to coronavirus, he may catch it, because his resistance would be less naturally, because he has lost so much semen. So this is the consequence. So sex is death actually. It leads to quick death. So sometimes it's also recorded that many of the men at old age or whatever, 40, 50, they die when they are indulging in this activity. They get heart attack, because when this activity is also done, one breathes a lot. Ayurveda defines life in terms of the number of breaths. So when one indulges in this activity due to rapid breathing, so there are chances of immediate death. So the yogic shastras say, Maranam bindu patena jivanam bindu rakshanat. So this bindu means this semen fluid. So when one makes this liquid fall, so that leads to maranam, and if one preserves it, it rises up to the brain, and it nourishes the brain. So and also the body, and one lives for many years. We see that in Himalayas even now. So many sadhus, they stay for many few hundreds of years. So this is possible because they are preserving this important semen. So like this, once one loses this, so we become weak. So even athletics, even in many disciplines, they are told not to lose this semen by doing sexual activity. Even athletics, before few days before this, they compete. They take this competition. They are told not to indulge in sex life to preserve energy. So like this, and we have seen many of the people, they have accomplished many things when they have remained away from this sex activity. Gandhiji and many scientists, etc. So to accomplish anything, we need to give up this activity. Generally, often we see students, they come to us and they ask, how can we concentrate on our subjects? and but it's not possible actually, because concentration means is possible, study especially is possible when one remains away from those objects which disturb the mind, basically women. So in Gurukula at the young age till 25 they used to study away, being away from women. So they used to study Shastras. So the first part of life was meant to develop good qualities, not like now. So they indulge in this activity during the time they are supposed to remain far from this activity of sex. So like this, sex is filled with suffering. The consequences are very bad, very, very bad. So there are so many diseases also, sexually transmitted diseases like AIDS, syphilis, etc. So which are very bad. There are no cure for that. So in every way sex is suffering, and after that in hell there are hellish punishments. Hellish punishments means one is forcibly allowed to embrace a molten form of woman. So generally we don't like to embrace fire, right? Fire is very miserable. So but in the hell what happens, one is forcibly made to embrace a molten form of woman. So this is the suffering given. So you all can consider. So apart from, one may say we have not seen hell, but that doesn't deny its existence, and we are suffering even in this life. So in this way, both in this life and in the next life, we suffer the consequences of just do it. So we have to be careful. So now we will discuss Ajamila's pastime, how he was actually how he suffered. We will see. Ajamila, he was protected after, of course, at the last by Krishna because of chanting the holy names. But then we can understand, we can derive a lesson how he indulged, how he fell down from his high position. So basically, he was a Brahmana in the Kanya-Kubja. So Kanya-Kubja is present Kanpur. So where Ajamila, great Brahmana, was being trained from childhood by his father, who was also a Brahmana. So it's told in Srimad Bhagavatam. This narration is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam, the ripened fruit of the Vedic tree, in the 6th canto. In 6th canto, this 6th canto is almost dedicated to Ajamila and his activities, and it also describes the glories of holy name. So he was brought up very nicely. It is told Shruti Sampanna. Shruti Sampanna means he had studied the Vedas, and he was very cultured, very well behaved. He was not something who was woman hunter or something. He was very good person. But then what happened? One day, under the instruction of his father, he went to the forest to fetch flowers for worshipping the Lord. Brahmanas generally worship Lord deities in the home, and he went to the forest, and unfortunately when he went to the forest, he saw some scene which was unusual. So that time in Vedic culture, so people used to not display affection publicly. There is a term, public display of affection. When I was in VIT, when preaching there to these boys, Vellore Institute of Technology, you all know it's very renowned, but there the authority, the management, they had hard time making this free mixing between men and boys and girls stop. They had difficult time. So they had different rules and all. So we see girl and boy, often they are seen in such colleges, very close, almost touching each other, maybe embracing each other. I have not seen some, unfortunately, although I was there. We used to, sometime I went to distribute books on that street, but somehow I didn't see. Maybe within the campus such things used to happen, so they had some restriction. So this was not actually seen in the Vedic time, but unfortunately when Ajamila went to the forest, this was the scene he saw. I hope it's clear. So Ajamila, Brahmana, with my finger is pointing, he is seeing some object of a Shudra and a Shudrani. So they are embracing each other. So they are embracing each other, and Ajamila, he tried to not to see it and control himself, but then lot of the damage had happened already. So he had a very bad impression of that sight. So he got the flowers back, but then those impressions remained in his mind, and he went on contemplating it. As Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells, dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangasteshopajayate. So when one contemplates on the objects of senses, one develops attachment to that. Sangasteshopajayate, sangat sanjayate kama. One develops desire, lust, desire to enjoy that particular object. So these all things were going on in his mind. Actually, Ajamila tried not to see that, but still it didn't help. He somehow saw that, and later he went on meditating, and that was the result of his fall down. What happened is, he had a very chaste and faithful wife. He gave her association, and then he got this prostitute to his house, and he had illicit relationship with her to this extent that he went on producing children from her. And at the age of 80, he had a child, a small child. You all can imagine, at the age of 80 also, he was enjoying with her. Generally at the age of 80, at that time, people used to retire. They used to retire from this activity of sex. They used to take vanaprastha at the age of 50 only. After 50, they used to give the responsibilities to their young children who would look after the mother. But this fallen Ajamila, he gave up all rules and regulations. We can see what happens when one does this. So when one indulges into illicit activity, as seen in this pastime, he indulged in stealing, he indulged in intoxication, gambling, all sorts of immoral activities, because he had to maintain these children. So, and he became so degraded actually. So at that time, somehow Krishna blessed this Ajamila to name his youngest son as Narayana, because he had done some good activities in his childhood. Ajamila, he had some sense. In Vedic culture, people used to name their children after names of Lord. So he named as Narayana, and at that time Ajamila's destination was hell. So when his time to leave this body came, so that time he could see fiery creatures. So he didn't know them, but they are basically Yamadutas. They are order carriers of Yamadutas. You all can see here, and they came to snatch the soul of Ajamila. So one is very attached to the body, but they take the soul and they take it to Yamaraja, who will decide the punishment. And later Ajamila was supposed to suffer in hell for all this he has done. Such severe punishment he had to undergo, but he was protected because what happened is, he chanted Narayana. He very helplessly called for his son. He didn't call for Lord, Supreme Lord, but Lord is so merciful that Lord thought that he is calling me, or otherwise Lord saw that he has rendered so much service to me in the childhood, and although he didn't call me Narayana, the child was called, but Lord, he came. Another point is, the Lord and Lord's name are non-different. Abhinatvam nama naminah. When we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Lord is present there. There is no difference between Lord himself and Lord's name. So Krishna, Rama, these are all transcendental, spiritual, and upon chanting these holy names, Lord's presence is established. We can see that whenever we do Kirtan, we get so much pleasure. So Lord came to Ajamila's rescue. He basically sends Vishnu Dutas. Vishnu Dutas came and they had a serious debate with Yamadutas, and finally the Ajamila was saved from going to hell. So this book which I showed you all, this is Second Chance. So in this, the Srimad Bhagavatam episode is explained very nicely, and the dangers of illicit sex are also explained. So you all can go through it. So it's a must read book, especially in the time of youth when you all have difficulty controlling this titillating desire of sex. It's very difficult. So Krishna also tells in Bhagavad Gita, it's very difficult, and it's our greatest enemy. Even we don't want to act forcefully, don't want to act, still we get into it out of force. But we have to understand how it's not good and how we have to regulate this. If we can't give it up altogether, we have to take a family life, and we have to give up this unclean activity and focus on the aim of spiritual life, as attaining our eternal blissful life in the spiritual world, where we all can enjoy with Krishna. So we all should know these dangers, how sex life is frustrating on the mental platform, on the physical platform. So how so many diseases are caused, mental agony, and finally quick death is guaranteed for one person who indulges in this activity. And also we have to take the shelter of holy name, because holy name, spiritual activity. Now basically we are discussing about the don'ts: no illicit sex, no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling. But these things might seem to be difficult to give up, because we have been habituated to do these things, maybe from childhood, because in Kali Yuga this atmosphere is like that. In a country where people is to completely refrain from these 4 activities, now they have taken up this life, so which is the Western culture actually. So we are habituated to do these things, you all are habituated, but it can be given up. It's not difficult. Many people have given up, and it is because of this superior happiness. So Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, when one gets superior happiness, one can give up the inferior happiness. There is a lot of happiness in spiritual life, especially in chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and this Mahamantra will give us all strength to fight against this sexual desire. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.